Alright guys, such coming again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Shotzzy revealing an awful lot about the way that last season went for OpTic Texas, confirming that the 0-18 run was happening for various reasons, that they needed to get out of those cycles if they wanted to improve their play, but also commenting on what Skyz could have achieved with the roster if they had have stuck with him towards the end of the year. We understand that Shotzzy wasn't so keen to make another change and to bring in Mercules. In the end, of course, though, that was totally the correct decision. Had they kept Skyz, what could they have achieved? Could they have done the same things? Probably not. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. First of all, wanted to start here. The players in the Call of Duty League who have played for the most CDL teams. So, you know, interesting to see if there are any patterns in play here. One pattern is that Boston are on this screen for basically all of these players. But here we go, right? So, Slashers played, you know, I'll just actually bring it up like this again. You guys can see the numbers a little bit better. Players who have played for the most teams. Vivid holds the record. That should come as no real surprise. He started out, of course, on Los Angeles Guerrillas, and he was still on that team going into the Cold War season. There was a bit of weird drama going on there because that Cold War LAG team was not very good, as we remember, and apparently Vivid told the coaches, which were, what, Bevels and Ricky at the time, I think, he was, this is the rumor anyway, he basically said to those guys, look, this team is trash. Like, you gotta make a change. And the rumor is anyway that they were like, oh, we got to make a change, huh? Well, you're on the bench, right? So and that was confusing because Vivid was just their best player at the start of that season, right? It was effectively, you know, was it Apathy, Silly, and like an Assault? I think that was the team of 4 they had with Vivid on it. It was effectively the World War II team, Evil Geniuses without Aches and with Vivid instead. Vivid was their best player, somehow got dropped, but then he ended up on Dallas Empire, right? So he turned up on there. I think it was Crimson gave that story of like he didn't even know Vivid's first name or something like that when he joined the team. They did okay. Then he ended up on Florida, then Boston, Rokkr, Ravens last year, and now we think he's going to be ending up on Cloud9. Of course, not yet confirmed, but assuming that Vivid does get locked in with Cloud9, as is the current rumor, then yes, he would have played for 7 CDL teams across, I mean, how many, what is this, year 7 of the CDL? So it's pretty impressive, right? Like, he is playing for a number of different teams. Now, I guess it is also worth mentioning that the Dallas Empire spots, well, I guess that kind of became OpTic Texas, right? Boston's spot came from Chicago Huntsman technically, so I'm not really sure it matters, but I guess the point is that some of these teams no longer exist, right? Florida are gone, Dallas are gone, LAG are gone, so, and even some of those franchise spots have changed hands. So, like, for example, with Thieves, LA Thieves, their spot was initially owned by OGLA, so like, okay, yeah, he did play for 2 different franchises there, but that was one franchise spot, as it were. Not like it really matters. But I guess my point is that the league has changed a lot over the last few years. There's been loads of different teams, loads of different owners, managers, etc. So it's kind of understandable that there's going to be lots of churn. But it is pretty crazy to think, right? We got a 12-team league. Vivid and all of these guys have played for half of those teams or more. Like, imagine a player who played for, you know, more than half of the teams in another franchise league. It would be pretty wild, especially over such a short span. T just played for 6. Of course, he's been on the Legion, OGLA, LA Thieves, Boston, Ravens, and then briefly a stint on the Falcons. I like the color coordination that Priest has got going on here with 6. Will he get on another? That's a good question. Slasher likely to stay on the Ravens. He's at 6 as well. Skyz, we'll get to in a second, is also at 6 after quite a roller coaster last couple of years. Initially for Skyz, it was like, yeah, he was Florida's guy for a couple of years. Then he ended up on New York and stayed on New York when it became Cloud9. Technically different franchises, you could say, but the last year or so, you know, Skyz a bit all over the shop. Gentlemate to OpTic, and then we think Rokkr probably going into next year. And then Asim, a number of teams as well. He spent some time on the Ravens. Asim really was considered, because pretty much every year he's on a new team, right? It was Rokkr year 1, then New York, then LAG, then Ravens. So pretty much every year he would join a new team at the start of the year, do well, and then, you know, get dropped or something would happen a few months later. Whether he comes back after what was a challenging stint for sure on those last couple of teams, a couple of years ago? That is a good question. Nassim has not been a name massively in the conversations as of late. So intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below on that. Just one quick follow-up here on the whole Scrap Drazah squashing beef thing. I'll kind of share a clip here of this in a second, but we saw the clip of them actually fist bumping. It is, I guess, worthy of note that after they fist bumped, it's not like they were exactly having a particularly friendly conversation. You can even see in the background here that, you know, Simp's talking to Scrap and Drazah's talking to HyDra. So, look, I don't think Kenny's got too much to worry about quite yet, but I would definitely say that if there is a world where Mercules turns up to this upcoming season, I mean, not just saying Mercules, but let's just say OpTic in general, but let's say catalyzed by great performances from Mercules, definitely a world where they may feel like they need to team up to stop the anti-cheat, right? Like, I don't know, people talking about this Mercules kid since he's come in, and everything that he's done has just been remarkably impressive. I don't know if he can necessarily keep it up forever, but it is just pretty wild how since he's joined OpTic, he's just barely lost anything at all, and looks pretty difficult to beat, right? And even in this 2v2 tournament where Scrap and HyDra were probably the favourites, I mean, they'd won it before, they get taken down by Shotzzy and Mercules. So maybe there is a world where if LA Thieves don't deliver this year, and if Merc and OpTic, they win most of the tournaments, maybe Scrap and Drazah are like, you know what, do we need to put it aside to try to win, especially if Kenny's individual level this year doesn't improve? Those are good questions that may well be answered in due course. But a couple of clips I wanted to share here from Shotzzy. He was actually talking about an awful lot of stuff. He was talking about his thumb placements, how he holds a controller, also moving to a PS5 controller. There was lots of controversy about this over the last, I don't know, 12, 18 months or so. What's the better controller? Is it the PS4 controller? Is it the PS5 controller? It all comes down, I think, to the overclocking you can do. So naturally, you plug a controller and it has an input delay, but you can actually bring that input delay down very low by using various softwares that will effectively overclock the controller. Now, it turns out that the PS5, when you overclock it, its latency is the smallest of any controller out there, more so than the PS4 controller. So that's pretty much what the pros have discovered, and it may not be exactly what they're used to, but a number of the pros have switched to the PS5 because they believe it gives them a slight advantage when it comes to being able to just do exactly what they want at all times, right? Their inputs get immediately transferred to the game. The other controllers are definitely close, and for many people this won't be noticeable, but if you can gain an advantage of 5 milliseconds or something over somebody who's using a different controller, that may win you a gunfighter series, maybe a gunfighter map, I don't know, and that could be critical in a crucial moment. And maybe it makes the game feel better as well, depending on how much you play the game. So Shotzzy talked about this, those settings, and the other things you're going to use. So interesting to hear Shotzzy's perspective on that. But the main clip I wanted to share really was this one, where Shotzzy was talking about the 0-18 run. He did comment a little bit on what caused them to struggle in that way. They're overthinking effectively, but also what they could have achieved with Skyz had they continued with him.
Once, I'm absolute. Third trophy. I'm trying to keep top left.
In the vent room. One shot in the room.
Damn!
Oh
my god.
Yep. Okay.
Where's the other kid?
I don't know, they're the same guy.
Damn is right. Good night, that movement was quick.
That was so good, man. Drazah's reaction so pure, so true from the heart. And if you thought that was sick, just wait for Black Ops 7. I'm not kidding.
This. I don't put it like in the middle. It's like top right. Yeah, no, it's such a difference. I'm not even like a tweak like that too. Like I never change my settings. It's actually like game changing. Like you're basically at a disadvantage if you're not playing with this PS5. Like it's like fucking insane. Or do you just put them where you feel the most natural? Yeah, I just put them where they feel the most natural. Bro, I'm not even trolling. If you guys are getting into gaming or whatever the fuck, or you guys want to change settings, bro, do whatever is comfortable to you. I'm telling you right now, just because the best player has shit like one way, that's what works for them, bro. Literally, that's what works for them. Whatever is comfortable with you, just use that shit. Trust. You think you would have gotten better with Skyz? I think so, yeah. I don't think our ceiling would obviously have been as like high as it was with Mace, but I think we would have like slowly gotten better. That was the biggest thing, was like whenever we won the 0-18 run, is that like we weren't even just playing the game itself. We were just trying to do like too many plays correct. Like we were talking about the game too much, which like kind of depending on how your team is about that shit.
So interesting from Shotzzy, he believes that when they were going 0-18, they were trying to, you know, they were thinking too much. They were trying to figure out what's going on here, there, and everywhere, and not maybe relying as much on just, let's just go out there, play together, and just play our game, right? We know we're talented enough to make this work. And I think to some degree that's a difference in philosophy between Kenny and Shotzzy to a certain degree. I think Kenny would prefer to analyze things in detail, figure out, okay, why are we making these mistakes? What is going wrong? And I think there are certain titles where that approach probably works. I think Modern Warfare 3 last year was, you know, I don't want to say like a more thinker's game exactly, but it wasn't a game that played exactly as Black Ops 6 did, right? With the movement, the way the Omni movement was, the way the maps were designed, you know, just getting cracked in BO6 was a fair approach. Whereas in Modern Warfare 3, that's probably not going to work out quite so well for you. So I think that Kenny and Shotzzy's approach that definitely clashed at times this season, we'll probably see a fair bit of it in the process as well when it eventually arrives. They're not, you know, one isn't necessarily better than the other. I think it depends on the game and on the circumstances. And I think we saw this season that Shotzzy's way, or the highway, it was definitely the way, right, this year. And once Kenny left and Mercules came in, we know what happened then. But of course, did Mercules need to come in, right? Would they have achieved good things with Skyz anyway? Were they making progress over time? Yeah, but not enough, let's be real, right? So this was the OpTic Texas run this season, and this was the series when they brought in Mercules. So if you guys remember this, they played Major 3, they bombed out of Major 3, they lost to FaZe, they then turned up to the qualifiers, Major 4 qualifiers, they kept Skyz in the team, and they 3-0'd Surge. I mean, let's not forget, this is a Surge team that's made so many grand finals, and Skyz had a 1.24, Huke had a 1. I mean, look at this series, right? It was actually a wild time. Even look at this, predict the winner. OpTic only got 17% of the votes. Surge had 83% of the votes here on the site. And Surge lost dramatically. Now, yeah, this is online COD. They're playing on a difficult ping. Sometimes I guess that's going to happen. But OpTic just dominated the series with Skyz. And then the next day, they dropped him, right? They got rid of him for Mercules. And that was definitely surprising that it felt like, okay, maybe they finally turned a corner and now they're going to get rid of this guy. They then play their first series with Mercules. And, well, Mercules does drop a 1.3 KD in this series, but they did lose in 5 maps. So it was a really interesting time when it looked like they'd finally figured something out with Skyz. They dropped him for Merc, and then they lost their first series with Merc. But I think already from this series, even though they lost, you could tell that there was something to come for sure from that OpTic Texas team. And it did take them a while to really get up to speed. It's not like they were just immediately godlike. You know, they had a couple of losses in here to Gorillas, even to Gentlemaids, and then at the Major they lost to FaZe, they lost to Thieves, and then of course after that they won everything for the rest of the season, as we well know. Had they kept Skyz, because let's not forget, Shotzzy actually wanted to keep Skyz. He made this point that he was fed up at the changes, and he was like, well, even Dashy said it, didn't he? He was like, hate watching Mercules, because he was like, damn, if Mercules really cooks it, we're going to be forced to make a change. Mercules did cook at Major 3, and then they were kind of forced to make a change, but they did leave it some time. I mean, the 26th of April, OpTic dropped out of Major 3, and it was still a good week and a bit later. They were still playing a series with Skyz online. So, you know, it was a remarkable time. Obviously, other teams wanted Mercules as well at a similar time. Had they kept Skyz, could they have ridden that momentum? Would they have got better? Like, I think there's a chance that with Skyz that they still deliver similar results Major 4. But at Champs and the World Cup, I think it would have been a very different story indeed. So very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.